Twilly-dilly-dee, 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 tweet, 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 tweet.
She talks to the people all night long, chatting and a-gabbing and a-singing her song. All the divas down on Rainbow Street love to hear Toni go tweet, tweet, tweet. Talking Toni,
Tweet, tweet,
talk, talking Toni.
tweet, twilly-dee,
Oh, talking Toni really gonna talk tonight.
tweet, twilly-dee.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Talking Toni. I'm Toni Holmperm, the singing diva of Long Island. This is my show on Strong Island Television, where I get to speak to some of the most fabulous people around the world. And joining me today is YouTube personality, transgender activist, and now a future novelist, Nathaniel Wayne from their YouTube channel, Council of Geeks.
Hey, everybody.
Welcome, Nathaniel. Thank you so much for joining me today. I'm very excited to have you. It was a few weeks ago, I had one of your good friends, Jessie Gender, on as my guest, and I absolutely adore Jessie. I love her channel. I love your channel. I think that, the things that you talk about are just wonderful. Oh, and I almost forgot. I have to wish you a happy Spirit Day. I don't know if you're aware that today is Spirit Day. It's the annual LGBTQ Awareness Day, observed on the third Thursday in October every year. So it's a means of speaking out against LGBTQ bullying and standing with LGBTQ youth. So
I should have known that, but I didn't. But I thank you very much. For all the many things that I am, suffering from ADD is one of them. So keeping track of a calendar never will be something I'm good at.
I have to put everything in my phone. Otherwise, I will remember nothing. So every morning I have to wake up and like, oh, what do I have to do today? Because otherwise I don't remember.
Literally, about 10 seconds before we went live, my phone just went off and alerted me that I need to remember to change my estrogen patch. So,
see, there you go. It's always something, but we lead very busy lives. I think everybody, even in the midst of this pandemic, life still goes on, and there's still things that we have to take care of. Now, as I was saying, your YouTube channel, well, one of your YouTube channels, we're going to discuss both, but I really want to first talk about your main YouTube channel, which is Council of Geeks. And I'm going to, we had just had Coming Out Day, National Coming Out Day, but I feel that I also need to come out to you, Nathaniel. I am a geek. I freely admit it. I am a geek.
I never would have guessed with that outfit. Like, you caught me completely off guard. I'm shocked, honestly.
But yes, I am a geek. I love geeks, and everything related to geekdom. I live for it. And your channel, if is a welcome haven to all things geek related, and everyone who also considers themselves geeks, I would say.
Thank you. I've been working on that channel for an embarrassingly long time, because I had the 9th year anniversary of starting that channel last month.
Wow. Yeah, and you have over 45,000 subscribers on your YouTube channel. That is impressive.
It took a while getting there, but yeah, I'm really proud of what I built, and I don't want to be that, like, tooting my own horn. Like, I'm proud of what I put out, but
well, you worked hard to do it. You should toot your own horn.
I did, but I take an awful lot of pride in the community that I have. There's a lot of people and a lot of comments that I get, that say something to the effect of, I feel a lot more welcome in this comment section than I do in others that talk about similar topics, and I'm really proud of that.
Well, you should be. You should be. One of the things that I felt when I started watching your channel that, we had in common, like, I found out that you used to do drag. We're both sort of, gender nonconformists, although my gender nonconformity is different than yours, but it's still there, both geeks, we're both parents as well. So I felt, quite a lot of kinship with you, but also, your channel, as you say, you're celebrating your 9th year now.
Yeah.
And you know what? It always happens. Of course, if it's gonna happen, it's when you're doing a show.
Yeah, of course. No, I had a bit of pepper that apparently was caught behind a tooth, and now has come up.
Oh no!
My throat. So now I'm gonna sound terrible for about a minute. I'll be fine.
It's fine. It's fine. Now, I wanted to ask you about. Do you have any idea how many videos you have on your channel? Because it's a lot. It's a lot of videos.
It's in the neighborhood of 1,200.
Wow.
There was a period of about 9 months, a little over a year ago, where I was actually doing a video a day.
Wow, that's a lot.
I don't know why, other than just like I thought, well, let me see if I can do it, and I did for a while. But then I'm like, I can't keep doing this.
Yeah, it's a lot. It's a lot. I have to thank you. From my, promoting you being on the show, I actually had one person like subscribed to my channel and said, I saw that, because they came from your channel. So I was like, I was over the moon. I actually just reached a minor milestone. I finally went over 100 subscribers on my channel. I'm like, I'm sure for you would have to think back way back.
Look, here's the thing. It took me 5 years to break 1,000 subscribers.
Wow.
So 100 is nothing to sneeze at.
I mean, when I did it, I was over the moon. I mean, I have to tell you, I was quite like pleased with myself. I never thought I would get to 100. And when I see like, people like you that you have over 45,000, it boggles my mind. I'm just like, I'll never get to that point. And and it's fine if I don't. If I never get anywhere close to that, it's fine. I'll be okay. But I still, can just, live vicariously through you and, enjoy your videos. So that's fine with me. Now, let me ask you, Council of Geeks. For the people who don't know, what is a geek?
Well, the way that my headcanon of geeks, because I'm going to speak in geek terms as well, even trying to describe geeks. So my headcanon for geeks is that, honestly, everyone is probably a geek for something. Being a geek means having an interest, a very deep and invested interest in something that has no actual direct impact on your day-to-day life.
Mm-hmm.
Now, that could honestly be anything. I would go so far as to call sports fans geeks and car enthusiasts geeks. They don't like that label, though. Geek media and sort of as a marketing term generally refers more to your sci-fi and fantasy elements. So Star Trek, Star Wars, Doctor Who, Lord of the Rings, Dungeons and Dragons, all that sort of stuff.
Mm-hmm. And on your channel, I've noticed that you talk about and review so many various things, sci-fi novels, comic books, superheroes, Disney, anime, video games. I mean, you run the whole gamut. You really do.
I mean, a lot of that, I honestly, and I joked about it earlier, I will chalk that up to the ADD. Like, it's really hard for me to, I mean, I talk about Doctor Who more than I talk about anything else because I have a deep interest in that. But like, I couldn't ever truly dedicate the channel to nothing but that. Like, no, I got to talk about other stuff because my brain is going a bunch of other places. Although in some of the cases, some of the varieties, actually thanks to my Patreon supporters, because they have the ability to commission me to review specific things. And most of the commissions have been for things that I didn't know about and probably never would have touched otherwise. So if you ever come across something on the channel that's like, that seems really out of place, there's a good chance that I was commissioned to review it.
That's incredible. I didn't even know that people did that on Patreon, that they would, I always assumed that Patreon was, I figured you were making your videos and you just put them on there like prior to posting them like for free on YouTube, that it was a way to just allow subscribers to get like a sneak peek.
Well, there's that too. I mean, like everyone can run their Patreon in different ways, but if you're a video creator, putting videos up for early access to your Patreon supporters is a very common thing to do. Some people also create Patreon exclusive content. I don't really, for the most part, because I don't like to feel like I'm paywalling my content. That said, there are a handful of Patreon exclusive videos, but they've usually been things like bloopers.
Okay.
But yeah, at upper tiers of support, it is possible to actually commission me to review a comic book, a TV show, movie, a novel, though I had to create a separate tier at a higher price point for a novel because that takes me a lot longer.
Yeah, that's a lot of work because, a book is not just like watching a 90-minute movie.
No, it's not. Well, here's the other thing. Like, I am okay with it, but some people would consider I cheat in that I use Audible.
Okay. Except
that the latest one I got commissioned to review, you can't buy the audiobook in the US. It is only available in specific. It is geolocked, and I don't know why.
Oh.
But I can't do audio on that one, so that's taking me a little while.
All right, so that one you actually have to just put your nose to the book.
Yeah. Which is, I mean, it's hard for me because part of what's nice about audiobooks is I can listen while also doing something else.
Of course.
Again, squirrel brain.
I know the feeling. I mean, I'm probably somewhat ADD, to a minor degree myself. I mean, it just, I can't tell you many times. It's like when I know something has to be done, and I cannot sleep, I can't rest until I complete it. And so,
See, with me, it's more it's more juggling a ton of things, and long-term projects are hard for me because my brain gets a little hit of satisfaction by completing by a sense of completion. So anything I can do now and have it done, I will probably do 50 of those things before I will do work on the thing that's going to take a lot longer.
I can sympathize with that. Really, I can. Now, you had mentioned Doctor Who.
Yes.
And it's obvious from the content on your channel, you do have a great love of Doctor Who.
Oh yeah. It's consistently my favorite show. I think I can safely say that.
And when did you develop this appreciation for Doctor Who? How did that begin?
See, I'm curious if you actually, because I've told this story before, but I love telling this story, so I'm happy to. So Doctor Who was something I had a very vague awareness of just through osmosis because, when I was growing up, PBS would rerun episodes from the old series of Doctor Who. And I had a friend who watched it, but I caught a little bit of a Fifth Doctor, Peter Davison thing. And I'm like, I don't get this. Largely just because I'd grown up on the Star Wars movies. I wasn't acclimated to the production value of something like classic era Doctor Who. So what got me into it was my daughter's mother, when she and I were on our honeymoon, we went to London. And we went to London for a week, which I think is the perfect amount of time to spend in a city like that because it's enough time to hit all of the touristy stuff you're supposed to do. Right. But also have time for stuff you just want to do and also have some downtime. So you're not just rushing from thing to thing. Right. And so we had a point of downtime and we're just in the hotel room. She decides to take a bath and I start flipping through the channels. And I stopped on what I would later discover is an alien species called an ood, which is this bald thing with this sort of tentacle mouth thing. And I stopped on it for the geekiest reason in the world, which is my brain immediately went, that looks kind of like a mind flayer from Dungeons and Dragons. So I stopped and I caught about the last 2/3 of an episode called The Satan Pit, which is the second half of a two-parter. And that was with David Tennant, the 10th Doctor. And it was a very specific moment. There's a moment where he's being lowered down into the titular pit, and it's just blackness beneath him. And they run out of cable to lower him down on. He's just looking down at the darkness, and he goes, could be miles to go yet, or it could be 30 feet. I could survive 30 feet. And the instant he said that, I'm like, as soon as I get back home, I have got to get into this thing. So as soon as we were back in the States, I through Netflix, and like when I say through Netflix, I mean like the mail version where they would mail.
Yes,
you
I remember that. The DVDs. Yes, I remember that. Yes.
So through that, I caught up in the first 3 series of the modern era, the current era of Doctor Who, and started watching as it aired with series 4, which was David Tennant's last run before. Well, he had the specials after that, but it was his last full series of the show. So, and I've been watching it as it aired ever since. And I have gone back and I have been able to now appreciate the classic stuff that I completely brushed off as a kid.
See, I remember when I was a little kid, like on Saturday mornings, they would run the Peter Davison Doctor Who on like, you know, some local channel or something like that. And I can remember watching it. I kind of liked it, but I never got into like this modern version of Doctor Who. And now I almost feel like, well, there's so much of it. Like, could I, like, you know, is it possible for me to, like, you know, start with it up again, you know, and like enjoy it? Or is it like, do I have the time to, like, it seems like there's so much that I would have to watch.
There is a bit, but I mean, like there are some of the later series that are built to be jumping on points if you want to start there. So like Matt Smith's first series, series 5, works as a decent jumping on point. Jodie Whittaker's first series, series 11, it was designed as a jumping on point. I'm less solid in saying that it totally succeeded, but it would function as that. And the other thing to remember is, because it's a British series as opposed to an American one, a season is only 10 to 13 episodes.
Right.
As opposed to American TV where it's like 24 episodes per season. Yes. So it's not quite as bad. It's not like trying to get into Supernatural.
True.
It's not quite as bad as it first seems.
Gotcha. Yes, I do follow a lot of British crime shows, and a lot of those, like some of them, like the seasons are only even like 4 or 5 episodes.
Some of them, yeah.
So I don't know. Maybe I'm not promising. But maybe I'll dip my toes into the Doctor Who waters for you.
I'm gonna follow up with you on this. I hope you realize that.
Okay. Let me ask you, which would be your favorite Doctor Who and your least favorite Doctor Who?
My current favorite is Peter Capaldi, who was the 12th Doctor. He was the one immediately before Jodie Whittaker, who's playing the part right now.
Okay.
I absolutely adore him. And the funny thing is I didn't take to him right off. But what was really special for me about his run is over the 3 series that he did, his character had an arc, which isn't really something that happens with the Doctor. Like audiences will find out different things about any given Doctor as time goes on, but that the Doctor themselves pretty much never changes. You're just realizing, oh, there's also this. But the Doctor himself, the 12th Doctor, actually changed as a person. He actually had a character arc. And I really, especially once it was done, I love going back and watching that all the way through again. My least favorite one, I'm going to give you 2 answers because one is kind of like it's debatable how much it counts anyways. So there's, and I feel bad because I'm potentially about to spoil something for you since you haven't seen the show. No. I got to run with it. There's a short-lived version of the Doctor called the War Doctor, who was played by John Hurt. And he's not bad, but he never really got enough time in the part to really gel fully. So I didn't fully connect with him, but setting that aside, which feels like a little bit like blaming something for not being able to do something it never could. The one I honestly can't really connect with is Peter Davison, the 5th Doctor. And it's really hard for me to nail down why. I actually don't dislike any of the doctors. He's just the one that I haven't found the linchpin or the hook in for what works about him. And I've even had friends who like, he's their favorite doctor, like explain it to me. And I'm like, I guess I see why you like him, but that's not working for me. So, and I still enjoy it. It's not like I don't watch the stuff with Peter Davison in it. He's just the doctor that I feel the least connected to.
Okay, well that's understandable. Now I also want to I have to throw a little shade. I have to read you just a little bit, just a titch. Now, one of the reasons that I invited you on as a guest for this episode was because Star Trek Discovery just had its premiere. So I wanted I wanted to have like a very sci-fi themed show, and you happen to tell me that you've never seen Discovery. Does Jessie Gender know this? Because
she knows.
Okay.
She knows.
Okay.
In my defense,
okay,
I don't have CBS All Access, which is the streaming service that it's on, and I like Star Trek. I don't like it enough to shell out for a service that I have otherwise no interest in.
Mm-hmm. Well, actually, I had not seen Discovery until CBS Access did they had their free sign up thing around April. And so I signed up for free, and I just binged. Well, I did it really just so I could watch Picard. And of course I went to Picard like that because I think there was only 13 episodes. And then I was like, well, I never watched Discovery. Maybe I should, try it. And I started watching it, and then I was hooked. And I went through 2 seasons, in just a couple days.
I've heard enough interesting things about that. I would honestly like to see it so that I could have an opinion on it. It seems like a really potentially very interesting take on what they're doing, but no, I haven't.
And one of the very interesting things, I think I had mentioned it to you, is in this 3rd season they're going to have 2 gender non-conforming characters joining the crew, which I think is great. One of the great things about the show is its diversity. The lead character is a woman of color. They have a lot of people of color on the in the cast. I think it's he's the engineer and the doctor. It's Anthony Rapp and I forget who plays the doctor. Now it goes out of my mind. Usually I'm blonde, but they're a gay couple. They're a gay couple on the ship. So it's just the amount of diversity that they've shown on the show, I think is a great thing. So. Oh
yeah, and I'm all of it. I mean, I won't lie. It's not the overriding reason, but that's part of the reason why She-Ra and the Princesses of Power is probably my favorite new show from the last 6 years. Was in large part for the diversity. So I'll always celebrate that, at least in principle. Once I actually get around to watching it and see how the diversity is handled, I may then choose to judge it.
Which is, you're right. Absolutely, you're right. One of the things that I do have to, it's not really a spoiler, but on the premiere, the main character, Michael Burnham, she made it through a wormhole in this, this self-contained rocket suit. And when she crash landed and everything, and her eyeliner still held up, even going through a wormhole and crash landing. And I was like, girl, I need to find out what eyeliner she's using. So
that is such. So I had an episode of Doctor Who I recently did my rewatch of because I'm re-reviewing episodes I've already done reviews for because a lot of them I haven't seen in a long time. There was an episode. I'm not going to say what it is, but people who know the show might know what I'm talking about. There's a Time Lord character, not the Doctor, but there's another Time Lord character who regenerates. So completely changes who they are. And when they regenerate as a woman, they've got really on peak eyeliner. I'm like, really? You regenerated with makeup on.
Oh, I wish I could do that before my gigs. Like just go in the regeneration, tube and pot, whatever it is, and come out like completely undragged. Oh my God, that would save me so much time. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, that is one of those look, I understand that everyone on a TV show or a film has makeup, including the guys, but
Of course.
why can't they make up the women to not look like they have makeup the way they do for the guys? Like, it just says, come on.
I know. Well, it's showbiz, kid. There you go.
Look, I love eyeliner, and I love it, as is evident. But we don't need false lashes in space. We don't.
I beg to differ. I say we do.
They should be available. I would never deny someone. I'm just saying they should not be as common as I see them.
Well, maybe they're holographic, fake eyelashes. Maybe they're not, which would be great too. That would be great too. Like if like the Doctor, like he's a hologram from Voyager. If I could just have holographically go into drag, and then when I'm done, just turn it off. Oh my God, that would be.
Oh, that's a dream. Oh.
That would be wonderful.
Somebody get to work on that. I'm not tech savvy. I can't do it.
Not even for drag, even just for you're running out the store. You could be in your pajamas or whatever. You want to look like you're freshly showered and everything. You just hologram. Let me look at like I'm a normal person. Maybe someday. Maybe someday.
Fingers crossed.
Yes. One of the things that I've also noticed about your channel, people are fascinated by your hair.
But it's funny because for a very long time I had this stuffed up under a flat cap because I came out as gender fluid on the channel at the start of 2018 and the end of a Q&A video celebrating
which I watched that yesterday.
The end of that video celebrating 10,000 subscribers, I took the cap off, and now my hair was not this long at that point, but it did have the color in it, and that was the first time I'd ever showed it. And I did keep using the cap for a while. Initially, I think I don't know. I think I was paranoid. I justified it to myself that it was like it was like a brand that I'd had with the cap and everything. I rarely wear it anymore, but yeah. Since it has come out, people have been very into my hair, which I enjoy because I'm very into my hair.
People are fascinated by my hair too. Let me tell you, I don't mind.
Oh, I believe it, and I wouldn't blame them.
It's all the work of my husband, though. It's like people are like, oh, do you do your own wigs? I'm like, I don't even touch them until I sit down in the chair and my husband puts it on my head. They're like,
Yeah, we were talking before we went live. Like, I'm not gonna lie. One of the I'm not saying it's the reason I grew it out, but one of the appeals of growing it out is I don't have to mess around with wigs anymore.
Well, it's for me. It's just part of the job. I have to deal with it.
No judgment on anyone who rocks them, but like for me, unless I'm doing cosplay and it has to be something that I can't do with my own hair. Other than that, no.
Believe me, if I could get away with it, I mean, I would if I could, but I can't. So, but we're about halfway through, so we're gonna take a quick break right now, just for word from our sponsors, and then we're gonna be right back to talk more with Nathaniel Wayne from YouTube's Council of Geeks. So we will be right back after these messages. Stay tuned. And welcome back to Talking Tony. I'm Tony Holmperm, and joining me today from YouTube's Council of Geeks is Nathaniel Wayne. Thank you for sticking around, Nathaniel.
I thought about bailing and leaving you hanging just to see what you would do to try and cover for it, but no, I'll stay.
Well, we're both very Star Trek, so you could have teleported out if you really wanted. But thank you for not. Now, we discussed some things about your Council of Geeks channel, and as I said, that is one of your channels on YouTube. You do have another channel on YouTube, which you've been very open about, which is your Vera Wild channel. And Vera Wild is how would you describe Vera Wild?
Well, Vera Wild, what the channel is at this point, it is largely vlog format with me talking about my thoughts and experiences as I go through my own gender journey, which is a very ongoing thing. When the channel started out, it was initially a place to put, at first some performance videos, although I didn't keep doing that for very long.
I watched those.
And then later I started doing cross-dressing advice videos because, cross-dresser was how I identified for a long time.
Right.
And I did a fairly long-running series of videos, basically going over what I'd learned mostly through trial and error over time, just kind of on the basis of, maybe I could save some other people from having to learn trial and error on some of this stuff.
Absolutely.
Before anyone goes to check out, none of it is serious makeup tutorials because my makeup is very basic. But, it was then that, and then later, eventually, just sort of, I started what I call the gender fluid vlogs, which is me just sort of talking through and sometimes just processing stuff that's going on or new changes that have come about in my life. And I also occasionally do product reviews. I'll actually have another one of those going up later this month.
That's interesting. Yes. I watched that video that you were talking about when you hit 10,000 subscribers, and you basically, you did come out, in your own way as being gender fluid, and it was almost like, I was just like, I'm watching it and I'm just like so rooting for you, and I'm like, yes, do it. And it was just, it just made me feel so good. And I think it's wonderful when, people like you, like Jesse Gender, they just share their stories about who they really are with everyone. But I have to ask, I sort of could feel you were a little scared.
Oh, I was terrified. I was see, here's the thing with that video on Council of Geeks when I came out, because part of the reason for my coming out at the time I did was logistical, because when Council of Geeks hit 10,000 subscribers, that's how many I had at the time on Vera Wild, because I'd actually been doing Vera Wild longer. Now at this point, Council of Geek has far outpaced Vera Wild, partly just because Council of Geeks gets more frequent updates.
Right.
But once Council of Geeks had as many subscribers and I realized it was going to have more, I was very paranoid that people were going to find the Vera Wild channel. Not that I was ashamed of it,
right,
but if it got exposed by somebody else before I talked about it, then it would still look like I was ashamed of it.
Of course.
So there was a push for that reason to address it in that video. And what I did, I edited that video, I uploaded it, and then I went to bed. Normally, when a video goes live, I either do it in the morning, or if I'm doing it as a premiere, which I do with my Saturdays videos, it's noon, in my time zone, Eastern time. But this one I uploaded at like 11 o'clock at night, and I went to bed because I knew otherwise I was going to sit there and just stare at the comments, waiting to see what the reaction was. And that wouldn't have been healthy for me.
No.
But what I was expecting to wake up to like a drop of anywhere from 50 to 500 subscribers and a ton of downvotes and a bunch of nasty comments. None of which happened, which helped a lot. It was very affirming to, like, about the most negative reaction anybody gave was like, huh, I wouldn't have thought that about you. Oh, okay. Like indifference. Indifference was about the worst that I got. I'm like, I'm okay with indifference. I can work with that.
Sure.
But it was scary.
Yeah, I will bet. And what I noticed, like you were saying, how oh, this is who I am, and it's not really going to be a part of this channel. It's not really going to make a difference. And I got to call you out because you didn't realize it, but hindsight is 2020. It actually did, and I think it's great that it did. It did sort of somewhat change the course of your channel in a way, and it did affect it. I mean, I feel it in very positive ways, and has made it a better channel. I mean, do you think so too?
I do. I certainly like to think so. And I mean, a lot of those changes were very gradual. I mean, the first tangible, impactful change was that later that year, I did my first video talking explicitly about LGBTQ plus representation, because since I'd come out, I felt more empowered to talk about that, because it was now known that I was a part of that community. And that actually got a much bigger response than I expected it to. So that's now something that I do almost every month, is a video on that topic. And initially those were the only videos where my hair was down and I wasn't presenting more or less masculine. And over time, and like it basically it reflected a shift in my own life, because at this point, I mean, I joked about it, being on estrogen. I still identify as gender fluid. I don't identify as a trans woman, and I'm very careful about my wording on that.
Right.
But I am at this point on a hormone regimen, and I'm not going to say that I never have masculine days anymore, but they have become increasingly scarce and with long stretches in between. But for a while, I was still kind of holding on to a more masculine presentation, probably more than made sense. And eventually it just hit a point where I'm like, I'm holding on to, like, I'm still wearing this cap and like more masculine frames for my glasses. And I think I'm just doing it because I feel like I'm supposed to somehow. And I'm like, I need to stop. Like if I honestly feel like wearing it, I will, but like I shouldn't wear it because I feel like I'm supposed to anymore.
Did you ever feel like, or did you begin to feel like the cap and the more masculine glasses were almost like a little bit of a way of hiding in a way, or?
Yes and no. I mean, obviously I was out, so it's not like people couldn't find out, but it was a way of sort of still hedging my bets that if I wasn't talking about an explicitly queer topic, maybe I shouldn't give away the fact that I'm queer because I'll turn off new viewers. And that was usually after the very supportive response to my coming out, I wasn't worried about losing the subscribers I had. I was worried about kneecapping further growth for the channel. But eventually it just hit a point of where whatever I'm gaining by still presenting more masculine, it's not worth it anymore.
Right. Yes. Well, I think that what you've done, it just allowing us to see the more authentic, the more real you. I think it just creates better content. That however you choose to present, is like, I think it just feels more authentic, and there's you can't beat authenticity.
I mean, I do want to stress that, like, even when presenting masculine, it really was just an aesthetic. I wasn't tailoring my opinions or anything like that. But yeah, towards the end of last year, it was reaching a point where, like, I had to seriously sit down and ask, why do I still do this? Like, why do I still look like this? And like best case scenario was there were some days I'm like, well, I didn't want to deal with my hair, so I stuffed it under the cap. And I'm like,
Sure.
that's fair. But short
Yeah.
of that, there were still days that you put that cap on. Why?
Mhm.
And just sort of realizing that, you know, whatever the answer is, it's not enough.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, I mean, you've sort of brought us all along on your journey, and you've I think you've even described, it's like some of your steps have been, you know, a little more tentative, and some have been a bit bolder, but everybody has the right to take that journey at their own pace.
They are, and like that's the sort of stuff that I tend to talk a little bit more about on the Vera Wild channel, which is much more. I mean, if you watch Council of Geeks, you can see the effects of my gender journey. For me to actually talk about what that's like, that's more on the Vera Wild channel.
Right.
But like journey is very important because for me especially, like I don't know what the end game of this is, or if there is one. I may very well be done. What you see now may be where I just stay and be happy with. But I honestly don't know, and I haven't known, and I'm just sort of feeling my way through everything. And for me, and I say this in absolute comfort. For me, this has been incredibly gradual. This has been the scenic route. I'm not someone who like has felt in their core, something's wrong and I need to fix it. This has been a slow, meandering, just finding something that feels just that little bit more right for who I am now. And also acknowledging the fact that who I am actually keeps changing. So it's not even like it's a slow journey to find out who I am. It's like, no, I find out who I am, but then who I am changes a little bit again. And now I have to go find that. And that's, I honestly take a lot of joy in that. I know a lot of people aren't comfortable with uncertainty, especially about themselves. I kind of find an odd kind of zen in it. Just being like, I can comfortably say I know who I am today. I don't know who I might be tomorrow, but you know what? It'll be fun to find out.
Absolutely. I think that is a great attitude to have. And I wish more people in the world would have that attitude. I think it would be a much nicer place if everything was always like, oh, well, you have to be either, you know, this or that. You have to either be A or B. You have to be, it's either black or white. It's like, no, it's like, it's a rainbow. It's a spectrum. And like, you know, wherever you fall on it is fine.
You know, it's funny, even back when I still identified as a cis male, which is like, that's a funny thing for me to say now. But even back then, I used to tell people, look, you find a line and I will find it. Show me a line, I'll find a way to straddle it. That's
well, I think, you know, what you do is allow a lot of other people that are, you know, that identify with you, you know, you're somebody that they can, you know, they can look up to, you know, and, you know, they know that there's, you know, other people like them in the world, so that, you know, they don't feel so alone. And that's one of the, also we talked a little bit about your friend Jesse Gender, who you do a What the Frell podcast with. I forgot to mention that you guys, you gals, people, I'm always I hate that when I do that, when I say guys,
I still do that.
Gals.
I've been trying to stop using guys as like a gender neutral group term. I still do it. I've been trying to stop doing that for like 5 years, and I still do it.
I know. I hate myself when I do that. It's like, but I'll say guys, and I'll be talking about, you know, like, you know, a group of, you know, retired ladies that are having a, you know, a coffee clutch or whatever. I'll be like, you guys or whatever. But you know, but I hate that I do it. That I use, you know, and I never ever have, you know, intentionally gendered someone. It's
but you know, like old habits die hard.
It's hard. It really is. So, but as I was saying, you and Jesse, you just you're such great role models for you know, people that are either transgender or gender fluid, especially the ones that are geeks. I mean,
I think, and like I obviously, when I started Council of Geeks, I didn't set out to do this because I wasn't out for a long ass time on the channel.
Right.
But you look at the face of geek YouTube, and it's a bunch of bearded white guys in front of shelves of toys. Now, I've still got the shelves of toys, but it's a very rigid thing. And like, there should be more diversity in other areas, because both Jesse and I are white, and they're honestly should better reflect in other areas as well. But like, there's an intimidation factor when all of the people that you see online who talk about the things you love look nothing like you and don't reflect your experience at all. It can be distancing, and it can make you feel weird in a way that is completely unwarranted, because like, you're finding people who share your interest, but you have so little else in common with them, you still feel like an outsider even within that group. And so if people like me or Jesse or many, many other wonderfully diverse YouTubers out there, like, seriously, diversify your palette, anybody and everybody. And something I'm working on too. Like, I'm not above needing to get better about that. But the more you take in, the more you can feel at ease with your place in fandom, with your place in these geek spheres, because it doesn't have to be all bearded white guys in their 30s.
Yes, it does not. It does not. Which is, why I love your channel and Jesse's channel so much, because you break the mold of basically everything else that I see in that realm of YouTube channels. So I think it's just a wonderful thing. Let me ask you, when you did that 10,000 subscribers video and you came out as gender fluid, you had a great response from fans. Did you get like negative reaction from other YouTubers that were in the same area?
Not that I know of.
Okay.
I think the honest thing is, like, I don't think I've been on the radar of most other geek YouTubers. Mm-hmm. And like, I think I've only had 3 occasions, at least, that I'm aware of. If there's more, I honestly don't want to know, but that I'm aware of other channels coming after me.
Uh-huh.
And one of them was specifically geek related. The other 2 were LGBTQ issue related. So I'm very proud of what I've built, and I'm super proud of the number of subscribers I have, but I'm still small beans. And because, unlike, there are other small people like Riley Grace Rochon, who I've been on her channel a few times, because she kind of deliberately goes out and pokes the bear of some of these bigger people. She's on their radar. Yes. I'm not, though, because I'm just over here doing my thing.
Right.
Most of them, if they know about me, they seem to have all decided, we just won't talk about that one.
Oh, well.
Which is fine. If they don't have anything nice to say, I'd rather they just shut up.
Yeah. Now, in addition to all your YouTube stuff and podcasts and everything, you've also just had a Kickstarter for a novel that you have written. Dreams of Fire is the name of the novel. So for everyone watching, please, tell us, what is it about?
Okay, so the first thing to clarify is the Kickstarter is over. That has
wrapped up. The Kickstarter is over. But you had a very successful Kickstarter nonetheless, correct?
I did. I raised 250% of what I set out to make. Wow, so it threw me off. It hit its funding goal within 12 hours, which I ended up crying on a live stream because of that. If
you're ever going to cry in a live stream, make sure you wear waterproof mascara. That's the only advice I will give you.
Thankfully, I did not have makeup on for that particular live stream.
Well, next time, if you do wear makeup, waterproof mascara. But
very important. But it is a fantasy. It's if you know written works and how finely they parse genres, it would be termed high fantasy because it takes place in a completely fictional world. And it is a mix of fantastical and fairy and sort of fae magic and folklore elements, along with a style of technology that is usually referred to as electropunk. It's similar to steampunk, but nothing's running on steam. It's running on electricity. So that's sort of the setting. And it's a story about people that are called elementals who exhibit certain magical abilities that they can barely control, that nobody knows where these things come from, and pretty much everybody is scared of. And it follows a fire elemental, basically, who's on the run. And the whole angle at which I came at this thing is something that I love and do not find often enough. So it's one of those cases of write what you wish you could read more. It's what I think of as small stories in a big world, because I obviously put a lot of time and effort into creating this world and the creatures in it and figuring out how the magic works and the society and the cities and how everything works. But so often, whenever you read a fantasy book that has everything that worked out, it's always about the kings and the prophecy and the Dark Lord who's coming to. I'm like, oh, for God's sake!
I read that book.
Everybody's read that. Everybody's written that book. That's kind of the thing. Like, what's it like just to live here, just to be here, not to reshape this world, not to be the most important person in it, but just to be here. In my mind, my go-to example for small stories in a big world is the original Blade Runner. Because that world is massive and expansive, but the people we're actually following don't matter. Like, none of these people are going to show up in a history book.
Right.
They're not important. And I actually really love that, because people who are not the history makers of the world have as much right to a story as anybody else. And that's the angle that I came at it from. It's going to be an illustrated novel, which was actually the main reason that I had to run a Kickstarter.
Right.
Because I need to be able to afford to pay artists. Don't ask me why I got the idea stuck in my head of having it be an illustrated novel, but it got stuck in there and it wouldn't let go. So that's what I'm working on now. But I think you can still follow the Kickstarter, which is where things I'll probably have the most updates for things like when it might be available for pre-order down the line or things like that. Probably not until early next year at the pace things are currently going. But it's something I've been working an embarrassingly long time on. So it's...
How long?
18 years.
Wow, that's a long time.
Yeah. Like I want to be like, I haven't been actively writing it for 18 years, but 18 years was how long ago I had the initial idea that the whole thing came from. So yeah, it's one of those things that's like, I need to get this done and dusted so that this monkey's off my back and I can devote the brain space that I've had permanently dedicated to this thing, assign it to something else for a little while.
Now, is the actual text, is that completely done?
I'm in the middle of what is more or less the final edit. I have an editor. She's done her pass at it, and I'm working on a revision based off her editing notes. After that's done, I got to put it back into, I used the wrong pronoun, sorry, they. I need to put it back into their hands. I'm so sorry, Teresa. I apologize. I put it back into their hands, and they will do one more editing pass on any new material I've written in there, and then it should be done with that part. There are so many parts. Like, it's my first novel. It's not my first book, because I released a book a couple of years ago called Skirting Gender, which was about it was about cross-dressing, because I was still I was pulling from most of my cross-dressing advice videos for the bulk of that book. But so I've been through the process of self-publishing a book before, but never a novel, never fiction in this way.
And the illustrations, you have an artist or artists? Or
I have multiple. And I have some illustrations done. Again, if you go to the Kickstarter, you can see some of them in the pitch video. I have to unfortunately keep a lot of them under wraps because most of them would qualify as spoilers. But yes, I'm in the process of, because even after the Kickstarter closes, it's a couple weeks before the funds actually get transferred to me. So once I have them in hand, I can commission the remainder of the illustrations I still need.
And when do you anticipate that it's going to be complete and available for people to purchase?
My goal is January.
Oh, this coming January.
This coming January. That is my goal. That is not a hard commitment because I'm doing most of this myself, and I know me, and I don't think I'm a massive slacker, but I do think I'm not great at calculating how long things take.
But we more than likely, definitely sometime next year.
Oh God, yeah. No, next year, absolutely. First half of next year, I feel very comfortable in saying. The aim right now is January. I mean, keep an eye on my Twitter. I'm sure I'll start pimping the absolute heck out of it once it's available for a pre-order.
And so, is there like a lot of difference in your thought process and your work process when you're doing when you're thinking of a video that you're going to create as opposed to writing a novel?
I guess I never actually stopped to think to compare the two. Yeah, it's just a completely different thought process because one is, meant to be just my voice. And like, I actually don't script most of the videos I shoot. Like maybe I'll have a couple of jotted down notes. Whereas obviously the novel is nothing but scripting over and over and over and revising the absolute hell out of it. So like the just the process is so different. It's hard to even compare the headspaces.
Well, this is going to be, and where will people be able to find the novel?
It's going to be available on Amazon. I expect that's the way most people will be able to get it. I'm also going to make sure it's available through Ingram, which means that you should be able to, once it is available, ask about it at your local booksellers or request that your local library get it, because libraries and bookstores don't order from Amazon, but they do order through Ingram. So I will be sure it's available there as well.
Okay. Well, I'm certainly going to get a copy when it comes out. I'm already putting it on my. I'll put it on my Amazon wish list as soon as it's available. So I must have it. I can't believe we're almost at the end of our show. As I told you, it goes so fast. And I still had millions of other questions I could have asked you, but unfortunately, there's only so much time. Oh, no, you're a wonderful guest. I love guests like you that I basically don't have to do anything. I can just sit here and look pretty.
You're so good at it.
I know. That's what I tell my husband all the time. But Nathaniel, where can people find you on social media?
If you search for either Council of Geeks or Vera Wild, Wild is spelled W-Y-L-D-E because I had to do it super pretentious like. Search for either of those and you will find my stuff. Main places to find it are going to be YouTube. I'm on Twitter under both handles. I'm on Instagram under both handles. I'm on TikTok under Vera Wild. If you search either one of those, you will come up with most of my stuff, and most of it's interconnected. So if you find one, it'll have links to the other. I try and do the social media thing well. I think I do like about 40% as well as I should, but it's
hard. It's hard.
Search either of those, you'll find my stuff.
Well, that's where you can find Nathaniel Wayne from YouTube's Council of Geeks. Nathaniel, I want to thank you so much for joining me tonight. This was wonderful having you on as a guest. So I want to thank all of you for watching, and please be sure to follow Nathaniel on all sorry. I'm very sorry.
I only recently dropped the male pronoun.
I know, you just dropped it.
That was a recent development. I'm not going to hold it against you.
Thank you. So you can find their social media under Council of Geeks, Vera Wild. Be sure to look for the book Dreams of Fire sometime next year, either through Amazon or Ingram. And I want to thank all of you for tuning in. I will be back in 2 weeks' time for a special episode. I'm going to have my Naughty or Nice co-host, New York City legend, veteran of, well, she was at Stonewall when they had the riots. She wasn't actually in there, but she was outside. The horror diva herself, Alexis Flame, for a very special Halloween edition of Talking Toni. So I will see you all in 2 weeks' time. Thank you, everyone. Please stay safe, wear your masks, practice social distancing, and good night, everyone. Bye-bye.
Twilly-dilly-dee, 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 tweet, 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 tweet.
She talks to the people all night long, chatting and a-gabbing and a-singing her song. All the divas down on Rainbow Street love to hear Toni go tweet, tweet, tweet. Talking Toni,
Tweet, tweet,
talk, talking Toni.
tweet, twilly-dee.
Oh, talking Toni, gonna really gonna talk tonight.